our next topic, which is creating an application as Docker. See, for this, when I say that creating an application as a Docker, as we all discussed in the previous classes as well, that this traditional mechanism where you'll be running every application separately on every individual host, where it will be running, it may be running directly, but see it now. So we wanted to create as a package. That's what our intention, right? We want to create that as a multiple applications. I want to put it as a package, and I want to push it on to the respective Docker. So packages are nothing else than the containers, and your those containers only I'll be putting into the repository, or you call it as a platform, which is the Docker. So here one must know about some of the what files. When I say that I am creating the package, that package should have what? That package should contain what are all the files, if you ask me. So that is what I am talking about. Dockerizing. Dockerize is nothing else where I'm creating the package. That package should contain what are all the different files, if you ask me. First and foremost is the your API related application file. One is the application file. It can be the Python or Node.js or Java or anything, whatever the your request, what you are writing. So that one first one file. The one next is the Docker file. Your Docker file, which will set up the entire environmental setup. So, and the next is that we have the package JSON files, requirement again .yml files, like that. Those are all additional files which are optional, but these two are mandatory. I repeat, the one which is API file, okay, and the Docker file, both are mandatory, whereas the additional files like requirement.txt, package JSON, again YML files will get like that. So different based on the requirement of the application, we can have a dependency files like that, but these two are compulsory. Now taking you guys to the what is mean by application file, what are we doing? So as simple as what I am trying to convey, this whenever you call it as application file, it will be having the main code for your respective application, whatever the application you are trying to conduct, or whatever the application you are trying to create it as a service. So that main code you will be putting into this application file, like this app.py. App is just a name, .py, which is a Python file. This is a JSON file, which is a JavaScript. So like this, different files like for Python, Node.js, Java, you may be having a different kind of extensions, right? Those are what you call it as application files. First one is mandatory file. Second mandatory file is what? Is Docker file. Second mandatory file is what? Docker file, and this contains all the environmental setups. I call it as environmental setup. Like what is the base image? Like which am I using? Is it a Python? What is that? That's what system environment. At the runtime. Then working directory where all these containers has to be stored. Again, copy code. Install, which is install dependencies like pip install, where we'll be using like in your system. Excuse me. Then very importantly, as you wanted to connect the services, as you wanted to run these services in your Docker desktop, but that outcome should be deployed on any kind of a website or any web production. So in that case, you should also think of the ports and IPs as well. Then again, what command we need to run like this. So all these system dependencies we'll be putting into the Docker file. And the last thing, which is this is what as we already mentioned in the previous slide, these are the optional based on the requirements. Okay, so that's what requirements.txt and the JSON file, YML files, all that. Anyhow, I'll be showing you with the example, right? Now let me take one case study here, guys. So the case study is that I wanted to build a simple Python web application. I wanted to just bring a simple Python web application that should return a value where I should you need to have, this is what I was talking, I just told you, you need to have the app, I mean say any file name with .py file, which is because I'm going to create a simple Python code here. What it is going to run? It is going to create one container. What is that name of the, I mean, so what kind of container it is? It is a web container. So I'm using a Flask. As I'm trying to create the web container, so I'm using a Flask. So for this, what it is going to do, it is not going to do anything other than just displaying the data as hello from Dockerized Flask app, right? And as I'm going to run in the same local host, so I'm using 0.0.0.0 and port is 80. You can also set up as I wanted to display this, run this and display the outcome in the web browser. So I'm using HTTP port, which is 80 is a HTTP port, right? So I'm using that itself. Then you can also use other also, no issues. Again, when it comes to the Docker file, you can see where what is the image, Python image. In my system, it may be 3.9. Then next is working directory I'll be setting and copying what file. It is the app.py. This is the program file, whatever we have, our application file. Then as this file, in order to run this file, as it is a web application, a web container, so I need a Flask. So only you can see there is a install Flask. That's what pip install Flask. Then later I need to expose which port. As I'm using this port as 80 here, the same port only I need to expose this. So if you use 500 here, the same port only I need to export that to the respective application. Then what is the command? As it is a Python file, so it is a Python followed by the file name dot py. That is the command to execute. So now what happens? So I need to use these two files. One is the app.py and the other one is Docker file. So do these two, I need, based on these two, I need to execute. Now let me see. Let me show you what I will do. I'll just create, yeah, I'll just create one folder with this name on my desktop. I'll just create one folder. See, you can see I'm in the desktop only. If you don't want to be like this, I will just go back to the desktop. Right here, I'll just create one folder. Okay. Just copy this. You can also use any other what nomenclature or other names. There is nothing like you have to use this itself. Not like that. Okay, it is hyphen is, that's the reason. Flask Docker app, whatever I'm using, so I can set up Flask Docker app. Any name you can set up just for your what understanding. I'm just setting that. So you can see this is the file name which we just created, folder. So inside that I need the two files. So one is the Python file. So what I'll do, I'll just create one file. I'll save as a Python. So I'm just creating one Python file which is app.py. So I'll just save it and I'll just paste that code here. That's it. So you can go through here, nothing wrong. So I just pasted that code. So I just created the Python file. Yeah, Python file. Similarly, I need to create one more file, which is the Docker file. See, for your information, I mentioned in the PPT also, this Docker file should never contain the extension. There, it is a without extension. I need to create a file. Okay. You can create, yeah, save as all files. It is a Docker file. So I'll say Docker file and I'll put this content inside the Docker file where the Docker file doesn't have the extension. Keep this in mind. Docker file doesn't have the extension. Now, so I'll go back to the command prompt. Before that, see what I did. If at all I have to repeat for your sake, what I did in the sense, we just created one folder as a something, any name for that matter. No worries. In that we have created two files. One is the Python file. The other one is a Docker file. Inside the Python file, if you see, say if you see the Python, inside the Python file, we have placed the Python code. What this Python code says, it is just returning some content. Is this? Yeah, it is returning some content. What is that? Hello from Dockerized application. That's it. When we run it, and where is that port? It is a 80. That's it. So as it is a web application, so we are using the Flask container. When you go back to the Docker file, if you observe, so what version of the Python, what file is that? Again, to run that, what container I need to install? I need to install the Flask container. What port is that? Out. What is the command? It is the Python followed by the filenum.py. So it is the same process what you followed in every individual process. Now what I'll do, I'll just go back to the desktop, right? So to run this a case study, one must make sure that my Docker must be running. Okay, I must make sure that my Docker is running. So once after I can make sure that Docker is running, then only I can proceed further, right? So uh, you know I'll just say that. So even for listing out, I just saw that. So no containers are running, but I have the different containers which are on the Docker, but they are not running. So Docker is there. And what I'll do, I'll just connect to that desktop where I created the folder. Again, I think Flask, something like this. Yeah. Now if I do ls, so now if I not ls, it is a Windows, right? So if when I use the dir, so you can observe. So what and all it is visible, it is app.py is there. Whereas here, if you observe, it is a docker file.txt. But I don't want, as I mentioned, docker file should never contain any extension. So what I will do, I'll rename that which docker .txt as docker. I'm just using the normal rename command. So for renaming that docker file .txt to the docker file. So what will happen? Yeah, you can observe. Yes, you can observe now. It's the docker file which is without any extension. I want this. Okay. So now we have created the two files. One is the .apa file, and one more is the file without any extension, which is, I'll just remove this for your simple case. Okay, app.py and docker file. So I have two files. Now I can run the so I'm ready with whatever the two files to be created in the desktop respective folder. Now we can run it. So for running, I'll use docker build. Okay, docker build. So -t. That's for tagging. I'll explain this. -t flask demo space dot. I repeat, it is docker hyphen space build space t flask space dot. I'll just run it. So it will start connecting with the Docker, right? So you can observe. So as of now, the respective container is not there. So which is a Flask related. Now we are starting this. Okay. That's what this command, we just used, which is docker build -t flask demo space dot. If you see here. Now, what is this? -t is what? It's something like for tagging. It is for tagging. -t is for tagging. Flask demo is there. No, this is the name of the image which you want to create. As simple as, previous example, we had that hello world, right? Now we are creating a new image. That new image name is Flask demo. That's it. If you want to give something else, okay, you are welcome to give. Nothing wrong at all. This is, so -t is for tagging. Flask demo is for what? A name of the image. Again, this dot, it is the repository where this Docker file is located. Where is the Docker file? For your information, it is in the same folder, right? We also kept the Docker file in the same folder. So only we'll be using that dot, which is space dot. So which will give you the repository or the place where the Docker file is present. And anyhow, Docker file is present in the same folder. So we are using just a dot, right? So yeah, it is taking a couple of minutes for creating your containers. So it will come and say those containers, and the image will come and set. So now what are you doing? You are building your entire process. I repeat, your entire process. That process is contained, you can observe. So because that process you are launched in, I would say you are kept in this app application, so that you are setting up. That's what build, what you are doing. It is building the Docker image. Okay, that image should build. Based on that image only, you can create the containers, is it not? So that creating the containers. So that is the next thing, which is the Dockerizing up. Now we are creating the image. For that, we use this Docker space build -t space Flask demo. Yeah, it takes a couple of minutes. As I mentioned, this name of the image could be anything, whereas -t is for tagging. Yeah, it is taking a couple of minutes. Within by that time, is it clear? So what we did till now, we have made is of one Python file, the one is Docker file. Yeah, anybody would like to have any discussion?
Sir, actually, so some instructions are written in YAML also, right, sir?
Yeah,
So
no, see,
the same instructions they are written in YAML, sir, in production.
for which you are talking about?
So whatever the Docker now you are created, no, sir.
Yes, yes.
So so those instructions sometimes they are written in YAML file,
That's what
means step
YML
by
file.
step process.
Yes, 100%. That only. See, after this, I will show you the one more next demo where I will be using the two containers. Now it is a single container. One is because I wanted to just launch the web application, so I'm using just a Flask container. Okay, so only I'm fetching the Flask here. That's it. You can observe as we are using the Flask, so we are where is it? Yeah, here you can see I'm installing only the Flask. When I'm using the next demo, I'll be showing you the multiple containers. At the time, yes, we do make use of the YML. What do you call it, YML? So YML, we do make use of it. So see, basically, I just wanted to showcase here that for every time you don't have to customize the YML file which is already available. You need to customize based on your requirement. That's it. But if you ask me for all these things, does the YML file is also running at running? Definitely yes. Yeah. Now we are done with building. So what I'll do, I'll just take you back to the containers. Sorry, desktop, Docker desktop. Now you can see as we are just done with the building the image. When you go back to the Docker desktop, you can see the image is created as a Flask demo. You can see Flask demo is created, but does the container is created? No, not it. Container is not created yet. Only the image is created in your repository, or the Docker daemon has created only the image. Now, based on this Flask demo image, we need to create the container. That's what we say the Dockerizing. So whenever you will be creating the Docker, right? So that I again as usual Docker. I need to use the same image file name. So what I'll do hyphen d hyphen p, which is a port number. And if you see this port number, it is you need to use the same port number whatever we used in the Docker file, right? Followed by the name of the image. I think we used Flask demo, right? So we used Flask demo as the name of the file. Is it not? Yes, we use the Flask demo. So that only we are using. So based on this image, we are right now we are creating the container. That's what we call as Dockerizing. So I'll just go back. Now you can see here. Now you can observe. I hope this focused Galeas, whatever you can see the based on the Flask demo image, the container one instance of container is created and it is running. So see the button is changed to stop. I mean say it is changed to this symbol. Now I can only stop. When it is asking me to stop means it is running. You can also see here on the green, it is running. The instance is created and it is running. Now what I'll do, I'll just go back to the any browser and I'll use localhost uh, you know localhost, right? So hyphen no HTTP, right? Yeah. HTTP localhost again colon 8080. So yeah, if I use, so you can observe, so it this web application just returned that value. What value? This is the simple value what we used in our Python file itself, which is hello from Dockerized Flask. So it just returned. So what is this? What is the demonstration we made it here? In the sense we created one image which is customized image, which is that it is a Flask, and this image is created based on what? Based on your application file. Based on this application file and based on your Docker file, one image is created. Based on that image, one container is created. If you run this container, I mean, if you run this command again, one more container will be created and they will be running. You can see this container is right now, it is running. Okay. So that's how, just a simple demonstration. You can see the outcome which is fetched here. A simple outcome which is in the in the web application, it is showing that hello from the Dockerized Flask, which we have given from the application file. So here, what are all the demonstrations what we saw? How to create the image first of all. And as usual, as I'm trying to convey, the image is created entirely based on your application file. And it will be customized or configured based on the Docker file, whatever you'll be giving in the Docker file. Once after you create the image, then only the container will be created. Container will be created. So both, you can see both are running now. I can stop them further, but that's what the demonstration till now, creating the image, creating the container based on the image. Okay, that's the first case study. Now, next case study will take up how we can think of two containers. Okay, we can think of two containers. So this is single container. It's a single container which is a Flask only. Next case study will take up two containers. So before that, yeah, anybody would like to have any discussion? We can. Yes.
No, sir, nothing, sir.
Okay. Fine then. So in that case, we'll move on to the